Hello everyone, welcome back to Cozy Books and Knits. My name is Eleanor. If we've not met before, it's so nice to meet you. This is Edward. And here on the channel we talk about all things fibre arts, knitting, crafts, reading, anything and everything in pursuit of a cozy life. I need to film my video, not fuss you. And if we have met before, thank you so much for coming back to the channel. It's so lovely to have you back here. How are you? How's your week been? So a few months ago now, we did a video called I think it was something called If You Like This, Knit That, which essentially was based on the concept of book recommendation videos where they would recommend a popular book, and if you liked that book, there were some book recommendations for similar things. So essentially I applied this concept to knitting patterns to say, here are some really, really popular knitting patterns. And if you like these, why not think about patterns that were similar, inspired by, similar style, some sort of shared vibe in some way, but by smaller designers that you may not have heard of before. So it was essentially, if you like this popular pattern, here's something you might like as well by a smaller designer and a pattern you've probably not heard of yet. So today we're going to do that again, but we're going to do a spring and summer knits version. So let's get into it. I have a cup of coffee. Grab yourself something to drink, your project, and let's dive in to the research I've done. The goal of this video is not to say, here's popular patterns, here's an exact replica, an exact copy. That's not really what this is about. I'm not trying to sort of say, don't knit those popular designers' patterns because they're popular for a reason. It's to say, if maybe you've already knit them or you like them, but there's something you think you might like more, here's something in a similar vein. So some of them are sort of closer together, some of them are more loose connections, but just that there's elements in one pattern that I recognise in the other that I think you might like. So yeah, we're not trying to say don't knit the popular patterns, we're just trying to offer something fresh that you might not have seen before that's in a similar vein. So the first one we're going to talk about is the Miyu top by Una Gill. This has taken the spring-summer knitting season by storm. This pattern is everywhere. There are already 1,500 projects on Ravelry. Bearing in mind it was released July last summer, so that's only the kind of end of last summer, and now we're just starting to get into kind of spring-summer knitting. This calls for a sport weight and a lace weight held together to give a gauge of around a sport weight, sport to light DK. It features this lovely cinched in waist. I say lovely, you may remember me saying I didn't like this pattern in a recent video, but I know so many of you did. So I thought, let's look at something kind of similar, but it has this cinched in waist with this more drapey top. And the other thing to note with this pattern is that currently it only goes up to a size extra large, and the extra large hasn't been test knit, so only extra small to large have been test knit, and then there isn't anything larger than a 41 to 44 inch bust currently. So it's not the most size inclusive either, and I think despite the popularity, this was this designer's first design, so it's probably why they're sort of not that experienced in grading and such. So I can see why people like it. I wouldn't personally knit it. We've been all over that. If you are interested in that previous video, I will leave it linked down below where we did talk about this pattern. But the principle of that silhouette, I liked this pattern called the Scrunchy Top by Bailey Baird. And it has just a couple of details that I thought really gave the same silhouette. So it has this kind of wide shoulder. It's more of a boat neck, but then it has this kind of wide shoulder. And then at the waist, it has this cinching detail up the waistline. I'll put some pictures in where it's just sort of cinched at the waist. So it's got a similar principle of sort of a drapey shoulder and then a cinched waist, but is maybe less overtly that silhouette and just maybe a little more subtle. But if you like that kind of silhouette, then I could see this with that waist cinching that sort of creates almost like a curved hem at the bottom, giving a really similar vibe. This calls for a DK weight yarn, and this goes up to a 55-inch bust. So if you like the principle, but there isn't a size available to you in the Miyu top, you might find that this works a little better for you. So I think it just gives that same principle of having a bit of light airiness in the top and then just cinching in and having a more fitted waistline. There are currently only 20 projects on Ravelry of this top, and looks like lots of people have chosen to use things like the Drops Cotton Merino, Sannes Garn Lina. Looks like just sort of a variation between cotton, wool, cotton linen type blends, anything that sort of fits that DK to light worsted gauge. I just thought this one was cute and sort of had something similar to add to that trend. I just think there was a similarity whilst both being totally different, that if you liked the Miyu top and wanted to look for what to knit next, then this might appeal to you. And the scrunchy top starts at a 27.5-inch bust. The Miyu top starts at a 29-inch bust. They're quite similar in sizing in terms of the lower end of the size range. Next up, if you like the mixed rib cami by Florence Miller, which I know a lot of people do because this has got like 1,200 projects on Ravelry, came out a couple of years ago now, but it seems to be a real kind of staple in a lot of people's summer wardrobes. It recommends the Knitting for Olive Merino, which is quite a light fingering weight, and even though it's a merino wool, lots of people say it's really sort of breathable for the summer, and the light gauge is very breathable, so in lots of climates lots of people manage to wear that year round with no problems. This pattern is designed to fit bust range from 75 centimeters to 155 centimeters, and it has negative ease. It features lots of different sized ribbing from smaller to larger panels of rib. It's very cute. It's very cute. So again, if you have knit something with rib and you really like it and you're looking for maybe a slightly different silhouette, maybe that rib fits you really nicely for the summer, then can I recommend the Stella top by Svetlana Volkova. This is a camisole. It has more of a sort of lower square neckline than the mixed rib cami, so again slightly different silhouettes, which is nice if you're looking for something else, something different in your wardrobe. This calls for a sport weight. The recommended yarn is Drops Saffron, which is a 100% cotton sport weight yarn. So maybe if you're looking for something that is intended to knit with a cotton instead of a merino, though you absolutely could just use a cotton for the mixed rib cami. I'm sure a lot of people have. But this is like a square neck camisole that's nicely cropped and features a similar mixed rib motif in it, and also is designed to be worn with negative ease. So different silhouette, kind of similar pattern, kind of similar principle in the wardrobe. This goes from a 22.5-inch bust to a 58.5-inch bust, though as I say it's designed to be worn with negative ease, so that is designed to stretch to accommodate slightly larger bust measurements than that as well. And this one has 100 projects on Ravelry, so there's a few more projects than the previous one, but I still think that this is kind of so cute and such a classic that I could see this being a real staple in a lot of people's spring summer wardrobes, the same way that the mixed rib cami is. I feel like these little cotton merino camis are so nice to wear on their own in the summer, but then they look so cute layered underneath shirts and things earlier in the season. Really, really cute wardrobe staples. I like this one a lot. And this designer had quite a few really cute cami style tops to choose from. Some really nice bralettes and halter tops, different silhouettes. So if you're looking for some basics that, you know, probably similar to the kind of My Favorite Things knitwear silhouette, but you don't want to knit those ones, then maybe check out this designer's other patterns as well, because they were really cute. Next up is the Alana camisole by Masha Patterns. This is another one that's knit in a light fingering weight. They also recommend knitting for olive pure silk, Sanna's Gone Tinlina, Drop Saffron. This is a fitted camisole with a v-neck and all these little micro cables that are really, really cute. It's quite a cropped pattern. It has some really nice bust shaping. Originally, this size range was not very good. I think I was knitting the largest size. However, now it's been expanded to have 8 sizes up to a 47-inch bust from a 31-inch bust. If you liked that pattern, why not try the Valet top by Skeiny Dippin', which is quite a funny designer name. This is also a v-neck fitted camisole that features lots of lovely cables, though there's a variation in cables rather than just being the same cables all the way through. So that's quite nice. It calls for a sport weight yarn, so slightly heavier, and this is a size inclusive pattern. It has a garment circumference from 23.75-inch bust to 58.5-inch bust. Again, designed to be worn with negative ease, so it should be able to fit up to 9 inches larger than 58.5. So this is a much more size inclusive pattern. If again that is a problem for you with the Alana top, then maybe check this out, because it has quite a similar silhouette, a slightly heavier gauge. It says you can either use sport or light DK, so again, if you want it to maybe knit up slightly quicker than the Alana camisole, but you still like the kind of micro cable look and that v-neck, then this could be a good alternative for you. The sample has been knit in a cashmere yarn, however, you could so easily sub in pretty much anything along that kind of summer fibre pipeline. There are 64 projects for this one on Ravelry, and there are some really cute ones. I actually think I prefer this to the Alana camisole, so maybe I wouldn't knit that. I think it's really nice how the detail goes into the straps, and they're a skinnier strap, but still really nice. They look really nicely detailed and like they would still hold up. I like this a lot. It's really cute. I think these are faux cables rather than actual cables as well, so maybe a little easier. It's no cable needles on tiny needles. Next, let's look at the Sabai top. This, I think, is probably the most popular summer pattern on Ravelry. I've not yet knit it, however I do plan to this summer because I just think the silhouette is gorgeous. It is by Suzanne Müller and it is knit in a DK weight. They recommend yarns such as Sanna's Gone Lena, and it's just a light, airy boat neck. It comes with both a ribbed neckline and a plain neckline, and I just think it's really classic, really light, really airy for the summer. There is a reason that this has 7,400 projects on Ravelry. Wow, I didn't realise there would be that many. Yeah, there's a reason this has over 7,000 projects on Ravelry, just because it's such a classic, pretty silhouette and apparently very easy to knit. This is designed to fit a chest circumference from 30 inches to 50 inches. Some people do report that this doesn't fit them in a way that they particularly like. However, I like the fit. It has quite a low armhole and I'm kind of on board with that. But if you want something alternative, why not try the Coves Tank by Fibres and Pines. This actually is not out until later this month. However, I really liked it, so I wanted to include it anyway, and I thought the silhouette was really nice to compare to the Sabai top. This has a boat neck, similar. The suggested yarn is also Sanna's Gone Lena, so same sort of gauge. It has a ribbed neckline and a ribbed hem, but this then also has ribbed texture all the way throughout the body of the tank, so it just has maybe a little more interest than the sabai top. So if you maybe like the cut of the sabai top with the boat neck and the sort of flowiness, but you just find it a little bit plain, then maybe the Coves tank will work for you, because it's just has a similar vibe to it, but just has a little bit more interest and a little bit more texture, and it looks like it does have a higher armhole, which is one of the #1 complaints that I see about the sabai top, is the depth of the armhole. This is designed to fit a bust circumference of 33.5 inches to 58.5 inches. And it's designed to be worn with a bit of positive ease and a more or less depending on your preference. But I just think it's really cute. It's really nice. And I don't know, maybe I could be tempted to knit this instead of the sabai top, just for that little bit of extra texture. It's really nice. There are currently only 6 projects on Ravelry because it has been tested or is currently being tested and will be released later this month, as I say. Next up, if you like the Juno tee by Sari Nordland. Essentially, I've picked the Juno tee because it was kind of the most popular one I could find that had this principle, but I think this would apply to a lot of Sari Nordland tees where she has the stockinette body and then the pattern on the sleeve. That's kind of what I'm basing this comparison on. So if you like this tee, which is one of those popular ones, though this one has 160 projects on Ravelry, so perhaps not as popular as some of other Sari Nordland patterns, but as I say, whilst I've picked this one as the example, Sari Nordland does this in quite a lot of her pattern, is to have lacework sleeves. So this calls for knitting for olive cotton merino, which again, summer fibre, known and loved. It's a raglan with a really pretty lace detail on the sleeves, with a finished bust circumference of 30.5 inches to 59.5 inches. So it has that light fingering weight gauge that you could definitely sub in something else if you didn't like the knitting for olive cotton merino, but it is quite a light fingering weight. It's knit on 2.5mm needles, so it's quite small gauge. But if you like that, then why not have a look at the Sambuco tee by NCL Knits. This is also a fingering weight raglan tee with a lace detailed sleeve. So as you can see, comparison, it's more simple lace. It has this pretty scalloped pearl bump eyelet detail on the sleeves that's really, really pretty. I've seen similar motifs trending quite a lot. It's really cute if you like that principle of just that bit of lace detail on the sleeves, but a plain body. So I could kind of see, if you liked one, how you'd like the other. And it just makes a very lacy tee, maybe a little bit more wearable, a little less see-through in the areas that matter. And I just thought this was really cute. And it goes from a 92cm to 156cm bust. They suggest the Malabrigo Machita, which is a 100% wool fingering weight yarn. But again, if it's just a fingering weight, you could sub in pretty much anything that you liked, whether that was a cotton merino blend, something like that. This has 52 projects on Ravelry that sort of vary between like sock yarns and lightweight cotton yarns, things like that. Cute. Next up, let's talk about the Cloud Tee by Petite Knit. This is a very cute t-shirt. It's quite a simple drop shoulder tee that just has these kind of vintagey rolled hem details, has a little bit of ribbing and then into rolled hems. It's got 529 projects on Ravelry. It calls for a yarn such as Filcolana Merci, which is 50% cotton, 50% merino fingering weight, or the Sanders Garn Tin Liner, which again, linen, cotton blend in a fingering weight. It's really nice, it's cute. It just kind of is. I don't think there's that much to say about the Cloud Tee. It just kind of is. You've seen it everywhere. We've all seen it everywhere. It's just a very, very simple summer fibre t-shirt knitting pattern that just has the same details that are on the Cloud Blouse, the Cloud Top, the Cloud Tee, the Cloud sweater, so there can just be a million different patterns on sale that have different gauges but the same construction and the same details. And this one goes from extra extra small to a 5XL, so bust circumference of 29.5 inches to 59 inches. But if you like that, why not knit the Lily Top by RSA? This has quite a similar silhouette, and it has those little rolled edge details. It looks like it's just really nicely finished with all the details just being very polished, very cute, but just has that slightly kind of vintagey, maybe slightly homemade look of those little rolled edges that they're so cute. They've been trending everywhere this year as well. It's really nice. It goes from a 30-inch to a 60-inch bust, designed to be worn with a little positive ease, not loads, just sort of drape nicely. And that I think it does. And they recommend quite a sort of woolly looking fingering weight sock wool. But again, I think you could sub in pretty much any of the fibres that we talked about for the cloud tee, such as Tinlina, or, you know, a cotton merino blend if you wanted it to be a bit more summer appropriate. And this one has 31 projects on Ravelry, and they look really cute. There's lots of people who have used Santa's Garn and various different summer weight fibres, and they look really nice. Just, again, it feels that same principle of that really sort of classic shape with those vintagey details, but I personally know I don't want to have to buy 10 different cloud branded patterns. I would rather go with something that maybe is slightly different than keep repeating the same motif and buying a different pattern in a different weight. So I think this fills that gap. Again, it's not a one-to-one copy. This is probably one of the ones that is closest visually, but it looks to be a bit less kind of drop shoulder and a bit more fitted, a bit closer, a bit more sort of baby tee. Really cute, I like it. And has like actual little sleeve caps rather than just straight sleeves like the cloud tee does. So again, I feel like it's just a bit more fitted to the body than the very sort of oversized drapey look of the cloud tee. So again, if maybe you don't like drop shoulder on a tee and you wanted something with a similar finishing but with actual sleeve caps, then maybe try the Iris H pattern. Next, let's talk about Ozetta. We've not mentioned an Ozetta pattern yet. I'm going to talk about the Clay Tee by Ozetta. This one has 230 projects on Ravelry, but again, I feel like this is another one similar to the Sari Nordland, where Ozetta has very much a style. And if you like any of them in that style of the sort of drop shoulder textured or colourwork tees, then the comparative pattern could be of interest to you. Clay Tee suggests holding a fingering weight double. They suggest the Knitting for Olive pure silk held double to make a DK weight. The pattern goes from a 40-inch bust to a 64-inch bust, but is designed to be worn with a lot of positive ease. So it's very oversized, very structured, boxy, with a kind of ribbed detail that decorates the garment. It's drop shoulder, it's exaggerated, it's lightweight for the summer, and if you just want that sort of drapey, boxy, textured garment, great, fine, can't go wrong. But if you wanted something maybe to spice it up a little bit, why not try the Sinuous Tee by Victoria Chapelina? This, I think, has a very similar silhouette where it's quite over-exaggeratedly boxy. Though this is a raglan, not a drop shoulder, it just has these sort of big, wide sleeves and it's sort of designed to flare out a bit at the waist and sort of really give that boxy, drapey silhouette. This is a DK weight pattern, so again, similar gauge to the Clay Tee, though this calls for a single strand of something like Drops Muscat or Drops Bell, so again, a cotton or a cotton linen blend. It just has this really nice detail on it that incorporates some little micro stripes, and then those stripes are textured with a slip stitch pattern. So it applies a similar logic to the clay tee where you have textured stripes, but this adds some colour in. You absolutely could do it with no colour if you wanted to look closer to the silhouette of the clay tee. But then also there's, I think, a Lakes tee by Ozetta that has stripes on it as well. So this is kind of like if you combined the clay tee and that stripy Lakes tee together, then you would get something like this that is just worked as a raglan, which will make that colour work a little easier with the stripes. In the silhouette of this, I could see a lot of sort of comparison. I just thought that though it was really interesting to have that texture and those stripes all together, and I could see a lot of people who had knit those Ozetta ones before and maybe wanted to try something else. I could see this really appealing. And this is designed for a 34 to 54 inch bust. So again, large sizes to be designed to be worn with quite a lot of positive ease. Next, let's do a cardigan. The Ravelry Instagram's cardigan of the season seems to be the Marielle cardigan by Maria's Verdun. So this one doesn't have that many projects yet. There's only 19 projects currently on Ravelry, but it literally only just came out like a week or two ago. So there will be many more projects on Ravelry to come. And the blouse version, so there's a Marielle blouse as well and a Marielle cardigan. The blouse has 569 patterns on Ravelry, so I imagine the cardigan is going to sort of skyrocket this summer. And you could kind of compare this to the Marielle blouse as well if you like that motif more. But I just think a cardigan is slightly more wearable and easy for the spring and the summer because you just layer it over things in the evening. It's a staple, and just with the eyelet lace it makes it so easy to just throw on and it still be breezy. This calls for knitting olive merino held with the knitting for olive soft silk mohair, so not the most appropriate spring summer fibres, but it's so light and airy that I feel like it just hits that perfect warmth but lightness that is just perfect for the summer. This one only does have 6 sizes, though it goes from a 38 inch to a 61 inch bust, so it's just very oversized and there isn't much offering for smaller sizes or for larger sizes to have as much positive ease as is intended. But it features this really pretty Pointelle lace motif. It's gorgeous. I won't talk about this one much because we have talked about it so much lately. I've talked about it on the channel. It's been everywhere. So if you're not into that, but you like a bit of Pointelle, and you like a light fluffy layer for the spring summer, why not look at the Field of Lace cardigan by Gabrielle Knits. This combines Pointelle lace with cables and that is just a dream. It's a really beautiful Pointelle cardigan that just has these cable details that sort of run down the sides of the body and down the sleeves. Really pretty. Absolutely gorgeous. Double knit v-neck button band. So the Marielle is a round neck, this is a v-neck, so a bit different there. If you prefer a v-neck, you might prefer this. This calls for knit picks aloft and knit picks cloud fingering held together. So again, it is a fingering weight held with a mohair, so pretty much the exact same yarn recommendation as the Marielle cardigan. They're just different brands, so same weight, essentially, same fibre, essentially. Lightweight, cozy. This has 8 sizes with bust measurements from 42¼ inches to 73¼ inches, but is designed to be worn with 8 to 12 inches positive ease. So again, not so many smaller sizes, but is designed to be very oversized and does go up to a size to give someone with a 60-inch bust the right amount of positive ease as the designer intended it, which we love to see. Pointelle lace has been trending everywhere this last kind of few months. It's been trending everywhere for probably the last kind of year or two, but the last few months I've really seen a lot coming out, a lot being offered with Pointelle lace. But I just think the fact that this offers a little bit of cables as well, it's the same sort of fibre composition as the Marielle blouse, it just has a slightly different silhouette with a different neckline and a different alignment of the pointelle with those cables as well. If there's something you don't really like about the Marielle but you want to get on the pointelle trend, then maybe this one will work for you. There are currently 19 projects on Ravelry. I would love to see more people knit this because I think it's really cute. It's a really, really lovely take on the trend. Let's do another lightweight sweater situation for spring layering, shall we? The Pierre sweater by Calibri by Joanna. I feel like we've talked about this on this channel before. It is a beautiful, lightweight sweater, perfect for spring. It calls for knitting for olive merino and knitting for olive soft silk mohair held together, that time-old combination for a light, fluffy fabric. And it just features this all over dainty lace pattern. Really cute, classic, timeless. This has a bust circumference of 99 centimeters to 173 centimeters, again designed to be worn with a lot of positive ease as a light, airy, flowy overlayer. Perfect for this time of year. If you like that, but you're looking for something maybe a little different, then why not try the Tulip Haze top by Soup Knits. This is really cute. Again, it has quite a large lace motif that's featured all over the sweater. It's a lightweight layer for spring summer. It calls for a sport weight, so it's about the same gauge as that one calls for 24 stitches. This one calls for 22 stitches. So slightly heavier, but it recommends a sport weight linen blend yarn, which will be perfect for the summer. Really, really cute. This one is not quite so great on the size inclusivity. In the description, it doesn't list the sizes for the bust, but if you go in the images, there is a schematic and it has a bust circumference going from 43 inches to 59.5 inches. It is a slightly more limited size range, but designed to be worn with quite a lot of positive ease. But I just thought that lace pattern was cute. And I like that it's shown in like a linen cotton type blend as well, because that's so nice for the summer. I feel like a open lacework cotton merino layer just couldn't be more perfect for spring and summer evenings. Imagine being down on the beach with like a lacework sweater just thrown over you. Stunning, excellent. So if you like the Lyra Tee by Irene Lynn, going for a slightly different look here of a beautiful t-shirt with some lovely cables and ribbing, twisted rib I believe this is. Gorgeous. I could never have the patience, but it's gorgeous. This calls for a fingering weight cashmere silk blend. Luxury. Just everything about this garment, being cashmere and silk in a fingering weight with twisted rib, is just calling to me as something I will never knit, but it's gorgeous. It's really pretty. Lovely silhouette of those big drapey sleeves with that cropped length. Really, really pretty. Again, I feel like this is just a really gorgeous layer for the spring. This has 10 sizes from 34 to 60-inch busts. Looks like it's designed to be worn with a fair bit of positive ease just for that drape. I feel like it's the sort of thing where if you wanted it a bit closer fitting or a bit drapier, you just sort of can pick your size accordingly. It's really, really pretty. It's really cute. But if you like that silhouette, then why not think about the Ritz top by Mandy Julie? I felt like this silhouette of, again, the cropped length with the really drapey sleeve that's almost to the elbow really reminded me of the silhouette of the Lyra Tee. So if you like that sort of silhouette of that really feminine drapiness, but maybe you wanted a different pattern, maybe you wanted something with a bit less twisted rib, then this is quite a similar silhouette, but probably slightly flowier and has a lacework motif that is so pretty. It looks really vintagey, really kind of 70s, 60s, 70s, really, really beautiful. This calls for a sport weight. They recommend the Isia Marilyn, which is a linen wool blend. Really nice and lightweight, really pretty. And this has 12 sizes from a 36-inch bust to a 79-inch bust. Again, to be worn with the amount of drape and ease that you like to make it flowy and gorgeous, but I think it recommends quite a lot of positive ease. But it's so pretty, and this one only has 11 projects on Ravelry currently, but I just would love to see more of these beautiful flowy 70s style tops out and about. And I love the lace motif, and I love the sort of hem shape that's caused by that lace motif where it's slightly scalloped. I think it's really pretty, really gorgeous. Love that silhouette. It could be styled in so many different ways. Stunning. You know you've been talking about knitting for a really long time when you have to pull out your obnoxiously large water bottle. Next is the Leela top by Kadri. This is another boat neck with a bit of texture. Stunning, gorgeous. This link is probably a little more tenuous, but I will explain it. This has 520 projects on Ravelry. It's a fingering weight. It calls for Pasquale Nepal, which is a fingering weight cotton linen blend. So it's just drapey, it's textured, gorgeous boat neck. Lovely, beautiful. There are 10 sizes from 29.5 inches to 54 inches. This is another one of those classics that I've seen everywhere. It's been out for a couple of years now, and I've just seen lots of people knit it up as another one of those absolute basics for the summer, but just maybe something a little more textured. So if you like that, then can I present to you the Oat Cami by Helene Beber. They don't immediately look that similar. However, my logic here is boat neck and texture. So this probably has quite a similar silhouette as well to the Spy, but with that one I kind of thought people might be attracted to the kind of sleekness of it, whereas with the Leela top there is a lot more kind of texture in both the yarn choice, being a linen cotton blend with no wool being the recommended fibre, so it feels like the yarn itself has a lot of texture, and then the pearl bump details have a lot of texture as well. So my recommendation here is based on a boat neck silhouette with a texture to the stitch pattern and a texture to the fibre recommendation. So this actually calls for the Gepard Garn Cotton Waves, which is actually a bulky weight, but it's 90% cotton, 10% linen, and it just has this like boucle texture where it's really kind of slubby. And then the pattern is this all over textured pattern that's really gorgeous. I think this one would knit up really quickly. So if you like something like the Leela that's fingering weight but you just could not be bothered, then something like this could work because it would knit up so much quicker. The gauge is 14 stitches as opposed to 24 stitches. So if you like the principles but you just want something that's going to fly off the needles really quickly, I feel like this could be a really good option just with that really interesting yarn. I've seen this yarn used quite a lot. I think Petite Knit has a tee that recommends this yarn as well, but they tend to be really plain. This pattern doesn't just rely on the texture of the yarn, it has texture in the pattern as well. But there's also some examples of this pattern that are knit in a non-textured yarn. I'll put this one from Ravelry on the screen here, where it calls for Sandnes Garn Tick Liner, which is like the thick linen yarn. So it wouldn't necessarily have to be knit in that Gepard Garn textured yarn if you liked the stitch pattern but you didn't like that yarn. But I just thought that if you're into that boat neck silhouette with a lot of texture but wanted something that would go and fly off the needles a lot quicker, then this could be a really good option for you. And it has bust circumference from 34 to 51.5 inches, and it's recommended to knit with either neutral or positive ease depending on your preference. So yeah, again, I feel like this doesn't necessarily have to just be a comparison for the Leela, but I think all of those boat neck silhouettes that are really in at the moment, if you just want something quicker, more textured, more interesting, this could be your one. Next, blouse number 1 by My Favourite Things Knitwear. I've seen a lot of people knit these as a really nice layering piece for the spring. They recommend holding 2 strands of Knitting for Olive pure silk together. So again, it's a silk, which is more of a spring summer fibre. I've seen people knit this in like a DK cotton or 2 strands of fingering weight cotton held together, or cotton linen, the same sort of things. This has 2,962 projects on Ravelry. It's super, super popular, and it just is a really nice silhouette. Again, boat neck, long sleeve, really nice layering piece for the spring summer season. This has circumference of 29¼ inches to 49¼ inches. This is designed to be knit with a bit of negative ease. And yeah, it's just beloved. Lots of people knit it for that really nice transitional season. Loads of people have knit this in Drops Belle, San Lesgan Lina. It's nice. It's just a little plain. So if you like that, but you maybe want something with a little more detail, why not try the Agnes Tee by Marilina Tricot. This is a tee pattern, however, I saw this absolutely gorgeous sample of it with long sleeves. So in the pattern there's short sleeves and long sleeves. I think the long sleeves are where this pattern really sort of shines, because it has almost like a flare at the end of the sleeve with a bit more of that lace eyelet detail that it has around the neckline. So it kind of fits similar purpose. It has a wider neckline with beautiful eyelet lace across the front, and then yeah, can just be made with those gorgeous long flared sleeves. And this calls for Drops Belle, but lots of people have also used San Lena. So this says sport weight, but Drops Belle and San Lena are definitely not sport weight, and it says the gauge is 19 inches, so it seems to me like it's more of a kind of DK weight, quite similar to the blouse number 1, which is also a 19 stitch gauge. So they are the same stitch gauge. And I just think this is really cute as another layering piece that fills the same purpose in the wardrobe, with that sort of layering. I could again see this over the top of a bikini or something in an evening, or just thrown over the top of your summer dress on a spring summer evening. Really, really cute. And it has 10 sizes to fit from 31 to 51 inch busts, with a slight negative ease in the bust and then just sort of flaring over the hips. Really pretty. And then the last one is the Vilma top by Gregoria Fibers. This is my current obsession. I've just knit one in Peruvian Highland wool, and now I want one in a summer fibre. I've seen quite a few people knit this in San Lesgan Lina to make it a little bit more summer appropriate, though this is the perfect garment in spring where you just need an extra little layer but not something too hot. So I've been getting a lot of wear out of this into the spring. Gorgeous, I love it. Pointelle lace, beautiful little lace hem, gorgeous. This has 9 sizes to fit busts from 31.5 to 59¼ inches. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous. As I say, it calls for a Aran weight yarn, Vilcolana Peruvian, so it's not necessarily intended to be a spring summer project. Just the fact that it's a sleeveless vest top and button down means it just layers beautifully, which is so perfect at this time of the year. There are 680 projects on Ravelry. And if you like this, then you may like the August Vest by Andrea Chang. This is a vest top, it's a V-neck, so again, slightly different silhouette if you're looking for something slightly different. And it just has this gorgeous lace on the hem. And again, that was what made me kind of feel like, if you like the Vilma top, it has this Pointelle lace going down, directly down the centre back, and then little eyelets around the armholes, and then just this really, really gorgeous decorative lace hem. Really, really stunning. Slightly different silhouette, but I feel like could be applied to the same sort of principles, wearing layered over the top of a tee or with nothing underneath in the height of summer. so gorgeous. This calls for a sport weight, so again, if you find the Vilma a little bit heavy for later in the year, this calls for essentially any sport weights cotton summer fiber. The sample, it either recommends Katia New Cancun, which is a cotton acrylic blend, or Knitting for Olive Pure Silk, which is certainly not a sport weight, so they must mean held double, but it's really cute. This has 9 sizes, from 28-inch bust to a 62-inch bust. However, it says that the last 3 sizes have not been tested. Presumably she couldn't find testers for those sizes. So if you have from a 52 to a 62-inch bust and you're interested in testing this pattern, then do contact the designer, because it sounds like she'd be really open to that. The sizes are available and have been graded, but just haven't been tested. This has 34 projects on Ravelry, and I just think it's really cute. There's people who have used things like Drop Spell, those other sort of summer fibers that we know and love, Santa's Garnlina. It looks really cute, and I think you could sort of get a different look out of this depending on how much positive ease you chose, the length you chose to crop it at or not crop it at. Looks like there's some variation in that from the pattern photos. I just think it's really cute. It's really sweet, and again, it's just another thing in the wardrobe where you can just sort of layer it and wear it in so many different ways. I really like it. It's really nice. So those are all my spring and summer, if you like this, knit that, pattern comparisons. If you like this video, then please do let me know. If you found any ideas in this video, let me know. As always, if there are any small designers you think I should be checking out, please do leave them in the comments. Thank you to everyone over on Instagram who recommended small designers to me that I should be checking out. If you want to be part of polls like that in the future on my Instagram, then I've left the link to my Instagram in the description down below. I regularly ask viewers for their opinions and help on videos, so if you want to be part of that, then do check that out, and I will see you again next week. Bye!